We have some big news in AI hardware. This might be sad to some people, heartbreaking to others. Maybe it's a good evolution, but I think regardless, there's some lessons we can learn. And that is that the Humane AI Pin, this thing that went completely viral when ChatGPT really started getting off the ground, is officially dead, at least according to TechCrunch. And I know there's some transitions. Connor actually knows people over at the team there, so he's got some good inside scoop to us. But essentially, Humane was sold to HP for about $116 million. They purchased all of their assets, but that doesn't mean the company is going to keep running. So, Connor, give us the inside scoop about what is happening with Humane today.
Yeah, this is a story that we were all following really closely, right? Because it was sort of the first test of what does an AI device look like? And I'll say right off the bat that I was a huge fan of this idea, right? Regardless of whether they were able to execute it in concept at scale, which is really, really hard. And I think, just the reviews like really panned it and all that sort of stuff, which, look, devices are super, super hard. But here's what I loved about it before I get into what HP is actually buying here. So the thing I loved about the Humane Pin is that it wasn't just, oh, it's going to replace your iPhone. It had a totally different vision for how we experience the world. And so, Jaeden, you and I are both dads. We have kids. Mine are teenagers. Yours are obviously younger than that. But we both understand this world of kids and screens, right? And kids glued to screens. This is not just a kid thing. I mean, it's something like people spend an average of something like 8 hours a day glued to their screens. And what I love that Humane was trying to do was trying to break that, and that's a huge task. And the way that it was going to work was you would have this thing that would have everything you needed just sort of like right with you, so you could talk to it. If you needed to see something, it would project onto your hand. If you needed to see directions or the weather or the time or something like that, it would also take photos and videos and record things and stuff like that. And I know sort of, out of the gate, everybody was like, oh, I don't want that thing recording. And I'm like, dude, like if you told people 30 years ago that you would have this device in your pocket that would take video and record things and pictures, people would have freaked out about that too. So anyway, yeah, I'm pouring one out here, first of all, for Humane and the AI Pin, which is now officially dead, just because they took a huge swing. It didn't work, but I think it will pave the way for others. It was a beautiful device. So what's HP actually getting? I actually think HP is getting kind of a great deal here, just at the very, very high level here. They paid $116 million. The idea was, Humane was obviously trying to sell for about $1 billion, but they didn't want the device itself. So a couple of things that they're getting essentially the team, right? So they're getting Bongiorno, I think, I can't remember how to say their last names, but the founders who spent decades designing interfaces for Apple and everything else, and they built this incredible thing. HP is also buying the 300 patent applications, things like that, but they're also buying what is hugely valuable and was valuable internationally as well, which was this Cosmos AI platform, which can run on everything from cars to, I don't know, smart speakers, things like that, right? So point being that they are getting, as we've talked about before, Jaeden, my favorite thing in business, which is a team that works really well together and is phenomenal. So there's a team with a joint track record of, now I don't want to say success because I can't say that Humane was successful, but in the past they had been really successful. It's a brilliant team. And what I love about this, Jaeden, and I'll toss it over to you now, is HP, it's the new way of doing things, right? Like HP is actually a pretty phenomenal company, right? Like they have hardware, they have, printers, they have computers, all that sort of stuff. I think what they didn't have was a really just a ninja level AI team, right? And so when Microsoft needed that, think about it, they essentially acqui-hired Mustafa Suleyman and the entire Inflection team. When Google needed somebody, they went to Character AI and poached a bunch of people there. This is how companies are doing it. And I think it's really smart. And the idea that these AI brains are going as a team over to HP makes me really excited. And I think that we're going to look back and think 116 million for that team and the patents and the Cosmos AI platform. I think we're going to look back and think of this as like a steal.
100%. The thing that I think is in here is to know that they actually originally raised $1 million. So they raised $230 million. They're getting purchased for 116. This is a really good
Right.
deal. Like you mentioned, I think this is a perfect opportunity for HP to grab people that have experience, not just in the software, but the hardware. That's a really hard combination. And HP is all about hardware, obviously. So bring them in and help make their computers better. And it's kind of interesting because when I think of other like precedent for companies successfully pulling this off, you can look at Apple, who's severely
Yep.
struggling right now with Apple Intelligence, doing the hardware and software combo. You can look at Google, who I would argue is actually doing a good job of this because they have their Pixel phones and they've integrated a ton of AI software that's essentially Apple Intelligence to their Pixel phones, to the point where I'm like tempted to switch from Apple to Android for my next phone because I just want one of these Pixel phones to like just tell it, hey, go find my flight details. And it will just like go search through all my emails and all my Google Docs and get all my information. And like some people, my wife's like, that's so creepy. It's got all your info. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds really convenient. So like my wife is like hyper privacy. I'm hyper convenient probably. And I'm like obviously in all this stuff. So I get it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think Google's crushing it there. And like you mentioned, they had to do some acquisitions, I think, to really get their team up to snuff. And so I think HP, if HP really could pull this off and become a leader in AI, I think that would be phenomenal. I just okay, so lots of like happy news and I think positive stuff coming out of there. I do just have to cover some of the sad facts of this shutdown because I
Yes.
think we have a bunch of these hardware companies that have done similar things, and I think we got to tell the woeful tale of what happens to these companies when they
Yes.
shut down or get acquired. So there's yes, we gave the positive spin. HP's getting a great deal. We're going to see some cool stuff, and the team's going to have a good landing spot. And I think that's what the founders really wanted. The sad thing I think is kind of Humane in the company itself. So they published a blog post saying that they were going to be shutting down. But before all of this happened, back in October, the company dropped the price, which they were about $699, so like $700 for pin. They dropped their price in October to $200.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this was like a last minute trying to get some money or if it was like maybe this could save the company. I kind of doubt that it would save the company. I think they're probably had a bunch of inventory that had already been created and they're just like, let's clear out the inventory. We're getting sold to HP. And so people are like, okay, well, what happens to the actual company? Because they're going to be unplugging the servers on February 28th. The servers are getting unplugged and these things are just going to stop working. So I mean, we have
Right.
8 days week and all the devices that were purchased are going to stop working, and they were selling devices like up until they made this big announcement. So they've said that customers who bought pins in the last 90 days are going to be eligible for a refund. So if you think about
Hmm.
the October price drop, that's October, November, December, January, February. Oops, if you bought it when they dropped the price in October, you don't even get a refund. So I'm not going to call scam on this, but if I was a customer and had purchased this, I would definitely feel shorted if I got it in October or November, wasn't eligible for a refund. They had to know this was coming down the pipe. So whatever, I'll get off my high horse, but that feels a little shady to me. But whatever.
Yep.
They dropped the price, no refunds, but I'm happy they're doing the 90-day thing. It's got to be legally. Like, can you do that? Would HP be liable? I don't know. In any case, the one thing I will say is that the pin went viral enough. This thing got famous enough that I actually think even if you bought one for $700, if you hold on to that thing for 50 years, when people talk about the AI
Yeah.
revolution coming out, this was the hardware device of the AI revolution. And I think that you probably have collector value on that thing. You got to hold it for a long time, but it's not very big. It's not like you're trying to hold an original Oculus VR headset. Like, it's small, throw it in a safe, come back in 50 years, show it to your kids, and you probably sell it on like whatever 100 years in the future's version of eBay is for, maybe you double your money. I don't know. That's my consolation. So I do think this is interesting. I'm excited for what's going to happen. I feel oof for the people that purchased
Yeah.
more than 90 days ago at the discounted rate, because like this thing's gonna get unplugged. The last thing I'll say that you brought up is the Cosmos AI thing. I do think that there is actual legit IP here that's really cool. The Cosmos AI can run on like car entertainment systems, a lot of other places. If we saw, and it's like an AI operating system, so if we saw enough hype around this where they could actually like get this into vehicles and start making partnerships there coming from HP, I think that it would be a massive win for the company. So excited to see what happens. I think the team has a bright future, and hopefully everyone that bought one of these things can make their money back in 50 years as a collector's item.
I love this collector's item take. I think it's dead on, because the other thing that's going in the safe is this Rabbit R1, which, and I mean, I'll tell you, the Rabbit R1, like, I loved Humane because I think they were really trying to do something good for humanity. I really genuinely believe that. I thought it was a great device. It just didn't, it was just too early. I think
Mhm.
they it brought out too early. I don't know if they had a choice or not. Rabbit R1 just makes me mad. Sorry if you're associated with Rabbit, because I think that they were just like lying. I think they were privacy things. I think I remember seeing the first TED talk that he gave. No, it's not TED talk. Yeah, it was a TED talk, but it was at like the Consumer Electronics or something like that. And it went nuts. And I remember watching that whole thing. It was like 22 minutes, and the guy was saying, "Yeah, we built a large action model instead of a large language model." And I'm watching that. I'm like, is that a thing that I've never heard of? And I was realizing, like, if he's built a large, that's essentially what we would call like an agent now. Do you know what I mean? Then I was like, what? But it just feels like they were just lying about it all. And like, that's why I'm so upset at Rabbit, although it looks awesome. Between Humane and Rabbit, I'll tell you what, those are cool, cool, cool looking devices. But anyway, we will see. Like, look, the device market is really, really, really hard to crack because people are so happy with their iPhone. So you're going to have to do something really extraordinary to kind of jolt people out of that. And remember, guys, like, Sam Altman was investing in Humane. I think other huge players were investing in Humane. So I'm excited for HP. I'm excited to see where they go. I think this will be a steal. I'm excited for the team. Anybody that takes a big swing, Jaden's an entrepreneur. I'm a little bit of an entrepreneur as well. Just all kudos to folks that get in the ring and
Yep.
just try something. I think it's just like huge, huge kudos. So anyway, we'll see where this goes. We can place bets on when the next big device will come out, whether it'll be 2025 or people being scared off. I guess we'll find out. But listen, watch this space because it is going to be an interesting space. The device market will be cracked at some point. Listen, if you have enjoyed this episode, you know what I'm going to ask. You know what I'm going to ask. And I know that some of you have not left a rating or review. It's so small, but we love it. We just love it. So get on there today. Just make it today, February, before the end of February. This is going to be your homework. We are so grateful for all you guys listening out there, and have an amazing rest of your day.